topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I got to tell you, I don't know how Johnny Carson did it, having an opening monologue every single night. But our first guest, to me, is the easiest opening ever. We're going to be talking about tax resolution. We have one of the finest companies in the United States with taxation solutions. And, you know, we get your letters going. We love the show, but most of all, we like the way your expert presents it. And let me welcome you to that expert, Barry Fowler.
Hey, Steve, how are you today?
Hi, Barry. How you doing? How's the rodeo? Is it over?
It's over. It's over. And a couple of weeks ago, so everything's a little bit calmer now, except for taxes and tax resolution, of course.
And I told Barry, the rodeo in Houston is on ESPN. What other rodeos are on national television? And I thought about Barry, and now they've got one of the winningest NBA teams in the area.
Hey, we're not talking about that. We're going to talk about the Houston Cougars, man. You know, hopefully they win tonight.
That's right. They won last night.
They won last weekend, and then they've got a game coming up here tonight, so to make the Elite Eight. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, so Barry, you know, it must be so easy to talk about your company. Tell people about taxation solutions.
You know, yeah, it is easy, but it's also kind of embarrassing because we have such a great track record. And, you know, I hate to sound like we're bragging, but, you know, we take care of our clients. You know, we're going to take them from step one all the way to the resolution of their debt with the IRS, whatever that may be. But we do things a lot differently than most other people do, because when you call in for that free consultation, you know, we walk them through exactly what we can do, but it takes participation with our client to be giving us honest answers right up front. We can determine, you know, hey, will you be going for an offer in compromise where we settle the debt for a lot less than what you owe? Will it be a payment plan or maybe a partial payment plan? You know, we've got a lot of different things in our arsenal to solve the tax debt and get the IRS off your back. But it starts in that very first consultation. And sometimes we can't really determine that right up front with you, other than, hey, maybe because of your assets and some of the other stuff you disclosed that we can't get you to an offer in compromise. But we will find a way to get you the best solution possible. And we like to do that because I don't want to mislead anybody. I'm not out here like some of these other companies that'll just tell you whatever you want to hear and sell you on that pipe dream. And then you get into it and you find out you spent a lot of money and they can't do what they supposedly said they might be able to do. And I'm going to use quotations on that, might, because they use that word very strongly in every one of their conversations so that they're not found to where they're going to get in trouble for saying, hey, we're going to go for offering compromise and we're going to settle your tax debt. And, you know, sometimes you can't determine that up front. And you really got to sit down and take the time to go through that case with them item by item.
Barry, you've been doing this for a long time. How do you get your clients to be totally honest with you? Because, sometimes they get embarrassed, and you have to know it. You're like a doctor. You have to know everything, good or bad.
It's funny. We talk about it here because we will tell people right up front, this is a no judgment zone. Okay. We need your honesty. We need you to tell us what exactly happened. How did you get in trouble? Why do you have this debt and what's the reason you couldn't pay it? Now we need you to be 100% honest on everything you have. I mean, if you got $1 million buried in your backyard, you're supposed to tell us. Okay. And yeah, then you can afford to probably pay your tax debt, but that's beside the point. But we really want to know what's going on. We don't really want to be blindsided as we come in. I mean, we've been offering compromise with a family, and in the 3 years leading up to coming to us, they sold 3 different properties, and not one of them were disclosed on their tax return. Not one of them were disclosed to us. And we would have had no clue that they sold any property whatsoever out there until the IRS came to us and said, hey, this client had this property and they sold it on this day and had these properties. And what did they do with the money? Well, now I'm fighting a different battle. I'm finding that they're saying dissipated assets and they want the money. So, we got him hit really hard over the head and having to go back to square one. So, we need that complete honesty. And we try to talk about these things, right up front. Is there any other properties that we need to know about? We've had other people where, they're getting an inheritance and they inherited this property and they didn't disclose that they own that property. Well, the IRS found it. So IRS being the biggest, baddest collection agency in the world, in the universe, I think I've checked it out. I don't know there's anybody in the galaxy that has as much power as they do. And they're going to find it. They're going to find the properties you sold, the money that you took out of your IRAs or your 401ks. Just be upfront and honest and tell. If we're representing you, be honest and tell us. If somebody else is representing you, you got to be honest and tell them too, because it's the only way they're going to be able to help you.
Barry, I got to tell you, you've been using the term, what's the term, that no judgment zone.
Yep.
And that is so true. I guess people who don't open those envelopes up and put them in the drawer, hoping they'll go away, those people are worried about what others might think of them. But this is what you do for a living.
Oh yeah, and you got to call in. You got to feel comfortable that somebody's not going to sit here and judge you for what happened. I mean, it could be that you started a business and you were making really good money and you just couldn't afford the taxes. Nobody told you to make estimated tax payments. You didn't have advice. You didn't feel like, starting out you could afford the advice. You may have gotten in trouble and run afoul in a business and not made your payroll tax payments because life happens, events happen. Sometimes the cash flow isn't there and you chose the easy way out of not making those payroll tax payments. Sometimes you went through an audit, you had a bad tax preparer. We've seen this where they lied to get you deductions and showed you, hey, look, we can get you a refund. We just got to do this. And the chances of being audited are slim to none. Well, we've seen that here locally where a preparer was doing this across the board and the preparer got in trouble. So they lose their license to practice or file taxes. But every one of their clients that they did these small businesses that they weren't in, or what they did way back a few years ago used to be the unreimbursed employee business expenses. They took advantage of all that. And now who gets left paying the tax? You do, as the taxpayer, as their client, and they're not held responsible for it. You are. You sign that return under penalties of perjury. they've still got to do things the right way, but you're the one that's still going to end up owing the tax. And so we bail people out of those situations as well. And so, we're not going to pass judgment on you. We understand, hey, everybody needs money. Everybody needs to do what they've got to do to save money on taxes. And it's just one of those things. Now, I will tell you, Steve, when we talk about this too, I can't help you if you don't pick a call. And that's where it all starts from, with that free consultation, the free phone call here to us. And then we can put stops to the IRS. And it's 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477, or just go to taxationsolutions.net. And we have a contact page out there, and you can fill it out and tell us when to call you, and we'll get in touch with you.
We just got a text in from Brian in the Galleria area. He wants to know, when you make a deal with the IRS, do they ever go back on their word?
So when you make a deal with the IRS, it depends on what the deal is. If it's an offer and compromise, the IRS is not going to go back on their word as long as you don't go back on yours. So what that means is you sign that offer and compromise from that day that we put that offer in till 5 years after that offer is accepted. You've got to be in complete compliance with the IRS rules. It means, generally you got to file your taxes on time. If you have to make estimated tax payments, you need to make those every quarter. If you have any taxes due, it all has to be paid by the filing deadline of April 15th, not the extension deadline, the filing deadline. And I'll give you a really good example. A few years ago, we had a client come in and said, I lost my offer and compromise. We went, lost? Did you misplace it? And that's what we were thinking. No, actually, the IRS revoked the offer and compromise. Now, here's where they were. They were 4 years, 11 months into it.
Oh, no.
That's right. April 15th of that year came up. They forgot to file an extension and did not pay what would have been the tax due. So if they would have done those two things, they would have been good. They filed the return on like May 15th or May 20th of that year, and they owed another $5,000. And because they didn't file an extension, because they didn't pay the tax due by April 15th, they lost an offer that was valued at that time over $250,000.
Oh.
Here's what happens. IRS wants that $250,000 that they forgave, plus penalties and interest for the last 5 years. And now this client is making well into the six figures and can afford to pay all of that debt. So IRS ends up winning. They made the deal. You messed up the deal. They would have honored the deal if he would have just followed through with what his commitment was when he signed that offer right up front. Now, getting that offer back, it is impossible when they go back in and want to do a new offer because, hey, they think they can settle. I'm sorry, you're making more than enough money to pay that tax debt now.
Right.
And you owe it. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything we could do for him besides get him on a payment plan at that point.
Barry, what is an enrolled agent?
Enrolled agent, yeah. We get that question all the time because, you see CPA after people's names, you see EA after people's names like mine. And EA is an enrolled agent. We're actually licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent taxpayers to the highest level of the IRS. Now, we can't go in and represent you in tax court, but we can represent you all the way up to there. I've represented some mediation in tax court and one. But we could actually, if you did decide to go in tax court, we could actually go in and assist you. We just can't represent you. Now, that makes us probably the most qualified people representing people for taxes. We're tested. Most of us that have the EA designation had to go through and take an enrolled agents test. It's a 4-part test, and then have to maintain at least, I think I run 35 to 40 hours of continuing education. So I don't remember exactly what the IRS requires. Department of Treasury is requiring. So we've got to go through and do the continuing education there. And then they do a complete FBI background check on you, which is always a lot of fun. But it does make us the most qualified. We got to know the most about taxes, more than any CPA or attorneys need to know. We specialize right on taxes and tax resolution.
This is kind of an interesting text we just got. He said, I had my taxes done online by one of those companies that promise if they make a mistake, they'll go in and fight for you. Just to let you know, they don't do that. He said, they made a huge mistake on mine, and I cannot get them to go in and fight for me. So just be aware of that. I didn't give you the company name, but I'm sure most people know who it is. But you really got to be careful on these online companies that do your taxes for you.
You really do. And not just online companies, but really anybody. A lot of times you're going to get a recommendation from that expert at the gas pump that may be a friend of yours or somebody you met and say, hey, I got this great person that does taxes and they get me a refund every year. They may not be truly qualified to do what they do, and they end up getting you in that situation where you get audited or a whole group of people get audited and then you owe the tax. A lot of times these people are so unscrupulous that they don't ever sign a return. It's filed as self-prepared, and then you've paid somebody to do your return, and you're actually filing it as self-prepared, not as a professionally prepared return. They don't have a PTIN number, which is, the preparer's number that you're required to get as well. So please check out anybody that's going to be doing your taxes for you. Make sure they are enrolled agents or CPAs, and they've been doing this for a while. We hire new enrolled agents and new CPAs, and sometimes we've got to go through and actually train them how to make sure they're doing the taxes 100% correct. Not to mention how to do representation. And that's one of the advantages you have here is you have our experts that have been in this industry for a very long time, representing clients and have settled millions upon millions of dollars worth of tax debt. Not just in the last 40 years, but even millions in the last few years out there, because this is what we do. This is what we enjoy. And this is the fun we have is actually taking it to the IRS and winning our cases.
Barry, when the IRS tells you how much they think you owe, what percent of those are ever wrong?
Well, if you ask the IRS, they're never wrong.
Right.
There are cases out there that, we will look at them and it may be 75-25, somewhere in there, that we'll go through and look at, and the IRS is wrong. And you could actually break that down a little bit, smaller percentages of them being right. When you take into account that if you haven't filed and the IRS has come in and filed for you, they will file after a while what they call an SFR, substitute for a return. And they file those returns not in your interest, but in the best interest of the IRS. So if you're a 1099 contractor, small business, they're not taking your deductions. They're going to take that 1099. Let's just say you made $100,000. Well, that's what you're going to be taxed on for Social Security, Medicare, federal income tax. They don't care how many kids you have. They don't care if you're married. They don't care anything. They're going to file it in the best interest in the worst way for you. So we can go in and correct that and file an actual return. So if you want to consider that's wrong, yeah, they're wrong when they do that. But it's one of the things they've got to do by law is file those substitute for returns to start the collection on you, so they know that, hey, you've got to pay this much money. Now it makes it worse because it's maybe 50,000 or 100,000 and now you owe. But until you file that new return and the actual return, you're going to owe that money, and that's what they're coming after.
We've only got a couple minutes left, Barry. Can you tell people, besides let's give out your phone number and your website address, tell people why they should hire Taxation Solutions.
Well, you should hire us is because, we're going to start you out the right way. We're going to sit down and do that analysis right there for you for free in our free consultation, just by you giving us the call here, or even going on the website at taxationsolutions.net, filling out our contact form, or dialing that number 877-996-6477. We're running into Easter weekend, and maybe you're with family and enjoying this blessed holiday. Share that number with your family. If somebody is out there that you find out owes money to the IRS, and it doesn't matter where they are in the country, it is a toll-free number, 877-996-6477. And so while you're enjoying this wonderful, blessed holiday, take the time to make that phone call, before we get into it, and put this to rest. Get some sleep at night, knowing that we stepped in your shoes. You don't have to answer the phone calls with the IRS. We will do that. We talk to the IRS. You don't. And you can then go home and tell your spouse that, hey, this is being taken care of, and I've got the best company here taking care of this, right off the bat. And that is what we try to do, is give people that peace of mind and that rest, and be able to say confidently, this is going to get taken care of. It's not going to just sit out there on the back burner. And it may be, we put you in non-collectible status where the IRS doesn't mess with you, as long as you're not making more money. It may be that we put you in a full payment plan because that's what you have to do, and that you can afford to make that payment. Even if you don't think you can, you might have the wherewithal to be able to do it. Or we put you in a partial pay installment agreement where you pay far less than what you owe. Or we put you in that ultimate, as you hear on the radio and TV, that offering compromise where you're going to settle for a lot less. I will say this, not one of those programs is absolutely right for everybody across the board. Your situation is going to be different. We do a good and very in-depth transcript analysis to check out everything that the IRS says. Sometimes it's lowering that debt by filing an amended return or filing a real return instead of the SFR. Sometimes it's, we find out statute of limitations are coming up real quick, which means tax debt's going to go away on its own because you're close to the 10-year mark. You might be a year or two from it. So then we can set up a really good partial pay installment agreement where that debt falls off. We've used every one of those techniques, varying by client, because of that client's particular situation. But you're never going to know what we can do if you don't pick up the phone and call us at 877-996-6477 and just get started today. And then just mention, hey, you heard Mr. Fowler here on Ask the Experts, and it's Easter weekend. Give me my Easter discount. And then we can all say hallelujah and help save you money, help save you from the IRS, and just help save your family relationships.
Barry, you're the best. Tell your family happy Easter for us. And Barry will be back again with us next month with more Ask the Experts. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680. 0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. Oh, I'm so excited about our next expert. You have been writing us for so long, telling us that you're a homeowner, you're not happy with your claims, and if we could get what's called a public insurance adjuster. And though there's a lot of them around, there's not a lot of great ones around. We are so lucky we found one of the top public insurance adjusters, and we are lucky to have him. Let's see if we can get him to turn his camera on for the TV. Hello, Brandon. We're waiting to see Brandon to turn his camera on. Let's see. We're just waiting for our guest. This is an incredible company. And wait till you learn about what a public insurance adjuster does. And we are getting ready to come into rainy season. Let's see. Do we have Brandon there? Let's see if we can get. Let's see if we can get him to refresh his page. Okay, they're telling me that he is having technical difficulties. Maybe we could get Brandon to call in. Would that help, Juan? Let's see. Let's give Brandon. Why don't you give him the phone number to call in? Because I really want to get him on today. Folks, this is a wonderful company. It's amazing that when you hire a public adjuster, you actually level out the playing field and you make it easier, because these insurance companies are very good at what they do. Their whole key is to pay you the least amount possible. And they also want to hope that you don't know anything about leaks, smoke damage, plumbing issues. They're hoping you don't know a lot about it. But when you hire a public insurance adjuster, all of a sudden it's a level playing field. And you never know when an emergency is going to happen. It's going to occur. And today I want you to write their phone number down, because you never know when you're going to have an emergency at home. And we want you to have somebody representing you that knows all the details when it comes to filing a claim. Again, the insurance company is not going to offer you what your claim is really worth. And it's so important that you have someone in your corner, a claims adjuster. I'm going to give you the name of the company. They are first starting with, can you believe it? Today's their first day on, and they're having technical difficulties. The name of the company is G as in girl, F as in Frank, R as in Robert, GFR Public Adjusters. I'm going to give you their phone numbers, 972 again, 5755. Their website is www.gfradjusters, and that's plural.com. Let me see again. Do we have them on the line yet? One. See, this is the problem doing a live show. Once in a while, we have problems here, and it happens. I heard it on Fox TV. They were talking to a guest, and they got completely frozen out. Oh, good. We got him on the phone. Brandon?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Oh, good. Hey, I'm
This is
sorry
Brandon.
about the technical difficulties, but hey, we have you on the phone now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I'll get it fixed up for the next round, though. Sorry about that.
Okay, but so Brandon, I was just telling. First of all, I was thanking everybody who wrote in saying, "Why don't you get a public adjuster?" And I was explaining to everybody there may be a lot of public adjusters out there, but there's not a lot of great public adjusters. And we were so lucky to find you guys. And a lot of people don't even understand what a public adjuster does. First, tell us about your company first.
Well, my company's name is GFR Public Adjusters, and we're based out of Dallas, but I'm licensed in Oklahoma and Texas, all of Oklahoma, all of Texas. And basically, I represent the insured against their insurance carrier when they step out of line or don't pay what they're supposed to pay or deny the claim outright. And this is where I or a public adjuster can come in and really help out the insured.
How long have you been in business for?
I've been in business about almost 7 years, and I was working for a public adjuster prior to being a public adjuster. And prior to that, I was in the construction business as well. So I kind of have, I'm an all breed to understand the whole situation going all the way up. And I have a full team behind me that has also been in the business for many, many years. So we're all very seasoned in what we do.
Well, I was explaining to people how storm season's coming up, especially in Oklahoma. They get a lot of tornadoes there. They rip houses to shreds. But I tell you what, I so believe in a public adjuster and what you can do for your clients, because when you're going up against these big insurance companies, you do not have a level playing field. When they sign your company, though, Brandon, now they have a level playing field.
Yes, that's certainly definitely a good statement to make. Here's what usually happens. The carrier usually comes out, insurance carrier usually comes out, and they send an adjuster. The adjuster writes the estimate based off of the storm damage that's at your house. And also, it's not just storm damages. It's fire, tornado, hurricane, any peril that happens, water breaks in your home. All of these things, a public adjuster can absolutely maximize your claim and get every dollar that you're supposed to get. There's not one claim that I've ever done that I've not covered my fee, easily covered my fee. Every estimate that I've ever written, I'm usually 30 to 40% higher than what the insurance carriers pay out. So it's a home run for the insurance carrier. I mean, for the insured and for the contractor that's getting it done.
Well, we just got our first text, and Brandon will be with us next month also. But we just got our first text, and they want to know if you have a public adjuster that you're not happy with, can you go to a second public adjuster?
That's a great question. I get that all the time. And I also take plenty of business from other public adjusters. So that's a yes. You can absolutely step away from your public adjuster that you've hired. That being said, though, you have a contract that states that he's going to get paid usually 10% of the claim. And normally they don't walk away from the contract because then they can just shelf it and they'll wait until the payout comes because the checks will go to them and they'll get their 10% whether you're happy or not. So you'd have to get that in writing from them, just saying that they no longer represent you, just like an attorney, basically. But yes, they'll do it. I have them do it all the time. They get so fed up with the insured, calling them every day, trying to speed up the process, just bugging them to death. So they'll just finally just drop you. And that's the best thing ever for you to have that happen to you if you're trying to step away from them.
Brandon, it's amazing that a lot of these home insurance companies don't cover termites.
Yes, I agree. They don't cover any kind of bug or insect, anything that has to do with any birds or any of that kind of animals. That's just not covered. It has to be a peril such as like a lightning strike or a fire or water or some kind of situation like that at your home, business, wherever it might be. But yes, they do not cover any kind of termites or animals issues, and they barely even cover trees and bushes and things like that in your yard. So it's basically just your interior. And the best thing you could possibly do is review your coverage on your home. It's so important that people take a good look at how much their house is insured. For example, let's say that you haven't filed a claim in 10 to 15 years. Well, your inflation goes up. Your house is worth a lot more money, but you're only insured for $200,000. But now your house is worth $600,000. Well, you just burned $600,000 or $400,000 because your house caught fire. They're only going to pay you $200,000. Your house is worth $6,000. Now you're out $400,000. So there's a lot of things that a public adjuster can help with. It not just maximizing your money, but also helping you navigate through the policy that is written very, very. You might read the first page of your policy, the declaration page, but you can go down to like page 69 or 70, whatever. Just pick a number, and it'll say like exclusions, and it'll exclude what it just said on the first page. And so these are just things that the insured just doesn't realize, and they really shouldn't realize it because no one wants to read 70 pages. But I've just seen so many that I can go to them directly and just do it real quick.
Does it surprise you how many people don't know their insurance policy, their homeowner insurance policy?
It being in the business this long, it doesn't surprise me anymore because it's like 95% of the people out there have no clue on really what they're signing or what's covered in their home. I mean, they just have no idea. I'll give you another example. Let's say there's a hailstorm and you have a 2% deductible or even a 3, 4, 5% deductible. You just don't realize that you're basically self-insuring your roof and your exterior of your home, because by the time they pay out, you're going to be paying about 3/4 of the money, and you've already paid for years on that policy. So these are the things that the insured has to really be educated. And I'm not saying that they're not educated. I'm just saying that it's just not their forte. And and this is another way that a public adjuster should help you at the time that you are talking with them, or myself, if that's the case.
Brandon, when do you bring in a public adjuster?
Well, what I would always suggest is to bring them in before you even call them. But excuse me. But most people want to see the estimate. They trust their insurance carrier. I see this a lot. Well, my insurance carrier is going to take care of me, and they come out and they write the estimate. And then this is a really good example. Not so much on hail. Yes, they underpay big time on that as well. But on a water break inside your house, they usually come out and they think they're taken care of. Well, once that contractor comes in and says, okay, let me see how much they've paid you. Usually I get calls from the contractors because they're the first ones on the scene. And they call me and say, hey, listen, this homeowner thinks that she got paid all this money and I can't even do a third of her house, her wood floors, all this stuff. And this is just impossible. So I'm going to have her. This is how I get a lot of my business, because these contractors understand that it's impossible to do the work for the money that's been paid. So then this is whenever I come in, and this is whenever the next step. If you don't call me prior to, you should call me after you get your estimate. No matter what, I can take a look at your estimate for free and let you know, hey, this is about how much money they're leaving on the table. I can do that within 1 minute of looking at an estimate. I've seen thousands. So I believe that you should call prior to doing the claim, starting the claim. But if you're absolutely set on filing the claim and looking at the estimate, take that step and then give me a call after that. I'm absolutely free unless I'm successful. And I'll at least take a look at your estimate for free either way. But I'm free all the way, and I don't get paid until you get paid from your proceeds from your insurance carrier. So you're never coming out of pocket with me. And this is the reason why. Yeah, this is the reason why I say start it with me at the very beginning.
I'm going to share with people how important a public adjuster is. About 15 years ago in Dallas, there was a tornado that hit, and it did a number on my kitchen. I called the insurance company. They came out, gave me an estimate, and it just bugged me. It just sounded so low. And a friend of mine said, you should get a public adjuster. And I didn't even know what a public adjuster was. And there's so many people out there who don't know what a public adjuster is. They will now. But you know what they were doing? They were trying, I had special tile in there, and it really needed, the entire kitchen tile needed to be replaced. And what they wanted to do was match it up the best they could. And when I got the public adjuster, those numbers changed in my favor, went way up versus what they were offering. I'm sure, Brandon, you see stories like that all the time.
Actually, I see them daily. I get tons of claims, and you're right. The tile, but that's definitely true. I see a lot of flooring, like water leaks in the interior, and they have wood floors, and the insurance carrier comes out and says, okay, we're just going to just pay this little area of wood, and then we're going to feather it in. Well, you can never match that. I can guarantee that whenever I get involved, that if there's a little area, let's say it's a 2x2 area, or even a 4x4 area in your living room, and you have wood floors throughout your whole house, and the wood floors go up the stairs, and the wood floors continue on, you're going to get all of your wood floors paid for, every bit of it, not just that 4x4 spot. I'm talking brand new floors in your entire house. That's what I fight for, and that's what I get paid, including paint. If you have a flood cut across your living room where the water got, and you have continuous paint going through the living room, the hall, the dining room, and it's just continuously. Well, you can't match that. So that's another thing that I throw on get paid on my estimates is the continuous paint throughout your house, and they're never going to pay the insured up front like that ever. I mean, they always just want to paint that one wall or just fix this one spot, which you just can't match that. It just doesn't happen, and it shouldn't. And I don't know why insurance carriers are like that. Obviously, to save money, they're a for-profit company. And I'm here to maximize your profits because that's how I get paid as well. So then we're all happy.
We're talking about residential, but you also do commercial too. I mean, imagine having a restaurant and they have a flood and you're next door. Well, guess what? Guess who's going to get a lot of damage also? The next door place.
Yes. I do on commercial. Large hotels, fires, $1 million claims. I mean, I'll take the small ones on as well because I love what I do, and I have a full team to back me up in my company. And the small ones being like the hailstorms, and they only pay for one slope on your roof. And I come in and I get them to buy your roof. I get tons of those, hundreds of those daily. Not hundreds daily, but I get hundreds of those a month. But I'll also take on the bigger ones, and those are the ones that I really excel in, are the fires and the water damage on these big commercial properties, and those are the ones you really fight for. Keep them out of court, but everybody gets paid.
Brandon, you never know when you're going to have an emergency, and I want people to write your phone number down. It's 972-972 5755. The name of the company is GFR Public Adjusters. I'm telling you, you might not have an emergency now, but you never know. And you should always keep this number handy. And whether you have a business or your residential, you've got to have a public adjuster that you can trust in. Let me ask you this. Does an insurance company, do they increase the premiums after you have a public adjuster get involved? There's a higher payout?
No. What happens is that's usually what happens. The insured believes that they want to file a claim. They don't want their insurance rates to go up. That's not how it works. That's a legislative thing for the state of Texas. It's not just you. An insurance carrier can't drop you, and even if they did, they can if you filed like 3 claims of the same claim in 1 year. That's in a lot of policies. So if you had 3 flood leaks in 1 year, they're going to run from you. They're going to let you know you're out of here in 30 days. We're done with you. That being said, though, they can't raise your rates even after those 3 claims. That's against the law. They can raise your rates if you're in a certain zip code. So if your zip code is like 75001 and that zip code got hit last year with hail, and then it gets hit this year with hail, you can almost guarantee your rates are going up that second year in that zip code, for sure, guaranteed. Now, let's say you live out in the woods and you have some zip code where it's like out in the country. Well, if you ever noticed, I mean, everything is cheaper out there, from your car insurance to your home insurance. Everything is because there's just not a lot of things happening in that zip code, and that's the reason why your rates go up. It's because of the zip code and what's happening in that particular area that you live in.
Wow. Let's tell people, we only got a few minutes left. Tell people why, if they need a public adjuster, they should hire your company.
Well, there's many reasons. I care about what I do. I care about the people that are going through these issues. I enjoy fighting the insurance carriers and winning. It's something that I have a passion for. I'm upfront with you. You can call me anytime, day or night. I have a full team that you can call anytime, day or night. I also have a platform that you can log on to and see all the information that's going on while your claim is being done. So if you were to turn over a claim with me, would then all the files would be there, all of the correspondence would be there, so you're never left in the dark. That being said, I can also guarantee that no matter what, that if I'm involved, you're guaranteed to get a higher payout than you ever would from the insurance carrier, and that alone should help in this whole process of why you should use a public adjuster.
Brandon, I can see why your company is so successful. You are so knowledgeable. I am so glad that we have you as our expert for Texas and Oklahoma. You're going to be back with us again next month. We'll get this technical issue solved. Again, the phone number is 972-5755. It's G as in girl, F as in Frank, R as in Robert, Public Adjusters. Brandon, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Easter.
Thank you. You too as well. I appreciate you. I'll talk with you again.
We'll see you again. And that's Brandon Kinsey. He is one of the owners of GFR Public Adjusters. Hey, that's it for us today. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Easter. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.